Okay, what we're going to do is give you a quick demonstration of the burnishing and embossing tools that I've put together for you. This tool here is a knife edge, a stencil knife edge that has been reground for working on harmonica reed plates. And I use it for closing the end of the slot at this end. I also use it for closing the end of the slot near the root of the reed on this end. So I'm going to start with this tool. And by the way, I'm using a light box that I built, and you can see articles on this device at hotrodharmonicas.com, and it has a 60-watt LED bulb that is dimmable, so I can adjust the light to suit the room. And it is an awesome tool, and it allows you to see in real time what you're doing, and this makes a huge difference. A lot of people do burnishing and embossing by working on their reed plate and then holding it up to some light source to see how they did. And if what they just did was a mistake, it's too late. With this process, you can see what you're doing in real time. So let's get to work. All right, I have a piece of shim stock in here. To keep the rest of the reed from pushing down, I'm going to take this stencil knife tool and just close up the end of the slot. Now, bear in mind, I'm doing this while I'm standing behind a video camera, and so I'm partially crippled, and yet, as you can see, this work is going along pretty well in spite of my handicaps. So here, if I just flip them over, now I'm doing the other side, and I can see what I'm doing as I do it, so I can stop before I've gone too far. So that's a big part of the process that I talk about. And as I said, there are articles on this on the light box that I'm using at Hot Rod Harmonicas. It makes a huge difference, and you can build one for yourself. Okay, now I've just done 3 reeds at the end of the slot. 1, 2, 3. Great. Now, just to double check. See, with this light box, I can also plink the reeds, and it kind of amplifies the sound of the reeds. Now, here's the next tool. This is the burnishing tool. In my vocabulary, I call a burnishing tool a tool that you use to work on one side of the slot at a time. It's very similar to the tool I used when I was a printmaking student and I made zinc and copper plate etchings. And I had this tool made for me by a company that builds tools for artists. And I had them build this particular design for working on harmonica reed plates. And it comes in a wooden handle, and it feels good, and it's relatively easy to use. So now I'm going to use this to close the rest of the slot. And as you will see, I'm moving this reed with my finger so it starts closing the slot, and I can see what the slot looks like as I'm closing it. So now I'm getting one side of the slot. Alright, that looks pretty good. Here's another one. See, because you get a different view of what's happening as you push the reed. The thing that matters is how close is the reed to the edge of the slot when it's going through the slot. So that's what I'm checking here. So see, here it looks like it's got a big gap, but as soon as I push it down, you can see the gap's a lot smaller. Okay, one more reed, and then I'll flip it over. So you can use this tool at various angles, and when you turn it, you can go from a broad edge to a much narrower edge, and it focuses your energy on the reeds as you're working in different ways. And with a little bit of practice, and as I always tell people, you always want to try things first with something that you're perfectly happy if you destroy. And so you want to practice with some scrap reed plates to get the hang of it. But once you do, you can see how efficient this can be. See, well, I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm good at it. But the thing is, if you start with a light pressure and you just keep watching with a good light box as you're doing it, you're never going to go too far. And if you start to go too far, you'll notice it immediately. Okay, this one might be a little bit. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. So we might touch this up just a little bit more. But you get the idea. All right. Now I'm going to go back to the to this tool again, the knife edge tool, and I'm going to close up the end of the slot with it. And like I said, it's interesting to work with a big video camera in front of your face, and you're not looking exactly at what you're doing. As you see, I'm getting the end of the slot closer to the reed, and that gives you a little bit more performance. So it closes it up just a little bit more. And some people only do this on mission critical reeds, and some people do it for all of the reeds. Just depends on how far you want to go. Now, the third tool in this arsenal of tools is this. I call it an embossing tool because this one works on both sides of the slot at the same time. So that's my definition of embossing tool. And with this tool, it's made of solid stainless steel rod, and it's beveled away so you can see exactly where it's touching the slot, so you can see how far you're going instead of guessing. So the whole idea of the tools that I designed is to take as much of the guesswork out of the process as possible. I have a little piece of tissue with a few drops of oil on it, and I'm dabbing these tools into it. It doesn't take much, but just a little bit of oil will help make them. So here we go. I'm just starting with a light pressure, and now it's starting to hang up a little bit on one side. So I flip it over, and in this case I'll probably clean that up with the centering. Looks like it. So this tool you can use for making a small difference in a very short period of time on an entire slot. See, I'm not trying to do like a super overblow quality embossing job. All I want to do is just pick up a little bit of extra compression. So here we've got this reed, and here's one for comparison. Okay, it picked up a little bit, and you can use this tool but with just by feel. if you don't have a what do you call it, light box, you can just like take a couple of light strokes like this and then plink the reed. So you could take the cover plates off of a harmonica, for example, and give the draw reeds a quick embossing and pick up a little bit of compression that way without much time. Now the other thing you can do with this tool, as you see, it has this edge here, right here at the end, and this edge, you can also use that to push the root of the reed down into the slot. And since this tool is heavy and has a lot of mass, you can use it to push down more stubborn reeds, like if the reed is real thick at the end and you're having a hard time getting that part of the reed down. So that's another thing you can do with the tool. So that's the basic idea. Once again, here is the burnishing tool. And you can also use the burnishing tool to push this part of the reed down into the slot. And what I'm doing is I am placing the tool on the reed plate like this. And you can bring it up on the reed, and because you have it rooted, you have a lot more control over it. It's a little hard to see, but you get the idea. I'm moving it down onto the reed and then moving it this way. And this will push that part of the reed one side at a time closer to the reed plate. Of course, you want to use a piece of shim stock on the other end when you do this operation. So I call this a reed slot burnishing tool. This is the heavy-duty stainless steel embossing tool, and this is the knife edge embossing tool for the end of the slot for hard to reach places, for both ends of the slot. There you go. Thanks for watching this, and you can find out more information at my website.